Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I hope you're enjoying today, and what an absolutely fantastic event. I have to admit this is my very first, so please be gentle with me. What I am amazed at today is just the variety of organizations, the scope of work, and actually the difference in size and the challenges which we all face. But what I wanted to do was to spend the next 30 minutes taking you through a whistle-stop tour of actually stepping away from talking about pets, first of all, but actually talking about the human world and looking at some of those changes to see how they're changing not just the way in which we've seen today people communicate and talk to each other, but also how those changes are moving through to make changes in the world of pet companion welfare. This changing landscape is opening up a whole variety of new challenges and opportunities for commercial activity. This allows big organizations and small organizations to compete to generate income and also fame and fortune for their organizations. It was in the 1960s that a famous poet or a songwriter wrote those immortal lines that the times they're changing. That was his response to recognizing the deep political, social, and economic changes of the time. His words are probably just as relevant today as they were 50 years ago. In our lifetime, we're seeing significant change on an unprecedented scale in all sorts of areas. And the first one I want you to take a look at is in the area of social and economic changes. For most people, that image will be a stereotypical portrayal of older folk, who in this case happen to be a small UK population. What we're seeing today, of course, is that the bad news is we're all going to be living a whole lot longer. We've seen dramatic change, not just in terms of Europe, but for every year every 5 years now that we live, we're seeing a year being added on to the length of our lives. This is good change. Europe is probably one of the most healthiest parts of the world. This generation, which you can see sometimes termed those people who were born between 1946 and 64. Can I just check who's born in that period, 1946 to 64? Can you just pop your hands up for me? That's good, great. The good news is we're a generation which is probably enjoying the very best of things. What does that mean post-war? It means that actually we've enjoyed education levels which have been unprecedented historically. We've enjoyed good levels of social care and health care, and we've also enjoyed earning pretty well through our life, which means that we can go into retirement, whenever that date may be, but also looking forward to a life where we're likely to consume an awful lot of products, where we enjoy spending on experiences, whether that's new cars, cruises, or actually just spending the kids' inheritance. But unfortunately, of course, what comes behind us is a group of people who are less fortunate. And as a fundraiser, these are probably the group which are going to be the most difficult groups to target. These groups have borne the weight, unfortunately, of all of those horrible economic circumstances of the last 10 and 15 years. They're likely to have paid for their own education. They're also likely to be funding far higher housing costs. They're most certainly going to be paying to look after themselves into old age. Therefore, what we have as a first indication is a tale of two cities, an older group of folk who are quite willing and able to spend money on themselves, and as we'll see later, a much more caring group who are much likely to invest in social and economic change. And if that's not enough, of course, what we're also seeing is an absolute revolution in technology and communications. The way we interact with each other and the world around us has changed beyond all recognition. Smart technology has now overtaken our world. It means instant access to everything, it means information on anything, and it means real-time conversations across the globe, all on the click of an icon. I just want to check with the audience just to see how many people have got a smartphone. Okay, fantastic. How many people are using a computer today to take their notes? Great, okay. So we've already seen today just the number of people who that's moving to. Just looking at the UK as an example, what we have seen is that the penetration of smartphones, these little devices, just around 4 years ago was somewhere around 25%. In 2013, that's grown to 65%, and by the end of this year, that should probably grow to 100% penetration in the UK. That absolutely changes the way in which we can both talk, receive, consume information. New ways of communicating, like Facebook, have changed our relationship and behavior beyond recognition. With 1.1 billion registered users worldwide, few countries have not fallen to the unstoppable force of Mark Zuckerberg's invention. In the UK, around 24 million Brits log on every day to check up on the progress of their friends and their updates, often having left them 5 minutes earlier on the bus. Pet owners have taken enthusiastically to social media networks, with owners creating profiles for pets like Dogster, Catster, Fudster, Petside, My Dog, Dogspace, My Cat Space. Some of these sites are attracting over 1 million visitors. Pets have become internet big hits. Over 3,500 web blogs are about pets, and Google lists over 4.5 million pet-related articles. We've just seen some examples: mutt bombing, cat bearding. There's no end to the creativity of how we've all got to work much, much harder to get our messages noticed in a very noisy marketplace. And of course, all of those creations are now creating new stars of the internet, like Grumpy Cat, Sonia, and Boo the dog. In a digital age, connecting with pet owners has never been simpler. You've just got to get connected. These developments are changing traditional commercial activity for charities. If we look at the UK sector, a phenomena is the retail shop sector. What this is, for those who haven't seen it, is a very vibrant sector of around about 6,500 high street shops, which sell to the public goods which are given to them by their supporters, normally second-hand clothes, furniture, and items for sale. That generates around £760 million worth of income each year. And these shops are normally run and operated by volunteers. They have a very low cost base. But even those stores are beginning to realize that they face new challenges with the development of technology and the change in which people are shopping. In the UK, internet penetration is somewhere around 77%. 62% of adults have bought goods or services on the internet in the last 12 months, and already the internet sector in the UK is worth about £100 billion, growing at approximately 15% per annum. You'll see that the majority of charities are now operating both with high street stores plus also via the internet in order to sell their goods and services. In addition to demographic changes, we're seeing social and technological change. We're also seeing changes in the way consumers see themselves, and also how others see them and the world around them. Body image has now become a major new marketing tool. Lifestyle choices are the focus and catalyst for growing whole new sectors of products and services. If you're in this group, you would have seen the development of things like words not used 15 years ago: low fat, low salt, pre-prepared packaged healthy meals, gym membership, personal trainers, and my personal favorite, bottled water. That thing which comes free from the sky, we've now been convinced by marketeers to spawn into a 60 billion worldwide market. We consume 200 billion bottles of water on an annual basis. On the other side of the coin, we see a modern-day phenomena which is being driven out of the explosion in fast food. Any cuisine, anywhere, anytime, called by marketeers the Martini principle of marketing. How's that particular sector doing? Almost as good as bottled water. Some 550 million Big Macs are sold in the USA every year. New words, supersize, mega deal, mega bucket, have entered our vocabulary. Today's consumers are better educated, better informed than ever before. They care about the world in which they live in, and they'll opt to buy products and services where buying means that something good happens. They like to feel good and feel good about doing something positive. Just to look at some quick examples, over on the right-hand corner, you can see a pack of Pampers nappies. These are disposable nappies for young babies. And this is a link between Procter & Gamble, the makers of Pampers, and UNICEF. They joined together in 2006, linked to the sale of Pampers baby nappies. Both of them believed in a common goal. Every baby deserves a healthy start in life. Working together, they targeted a very preventable disease that was killing one baby child every 9 minutes in Africa. That was newborn tetanus. They set themselves the ambition to eradicate the disease. No simple task. They were appealing to mothers around the world to help other mothers who were less fortunate. Did it work? Well, 8 years on, they funded 300 million vaccines, and they've now eradicated this disease in 15 countries. It's powerful stuff. And I suspect Luke is not here this afternoon. Is Luke here? But remarkable similarities to the work Luke talked about of eradicating diseases and spread of dangerous rabies in India. People acting and voting for ethical approaches can be a significant catalyst for change. A second example in the center of the screen is the Fair Trade Foundation. This was based on a very simple idea of giving a far better deal to the growers of coffee, tea, cocoa, bananas, and sugar from across the globe. The idea is the products from these suppliers would be packaged as fair trade and presented to consumers alongside the regular big brand products, with a clear signal that if you brought this product, something good would happen and the growers would get a fair deal for their product. In the UK this year, fair trade products, the sales will amount to over £1.6 billion. They account for something like 1 in 3 bananas sold in the UK, which doesn't sound too much, except we eat, in the Brits, they eat 5 billion bananas each year, an average of 100 bananas per person. I think we must be trying to be in the fit group as opposed to the other group. Some commercial entities have started thinking ethically from the time they've developed their business. A small company, which you can see produces drinks on the right-hand side, which is called Innocent. Innocent they started selling fruit smoothies at rock concerts in the late 90s. From get-go, they committed to donate 10% of their profits to good causes from their startup situation. Today, they're supporting projects in 20 countries. They're putting £2 million a year in cash into those projects, and they've just been acquired by Pepsi Coca-Cola. That same commitment to ethical investment has formed the key part of the terms and conditions of the sale, and so Innocent, moving forward, will still continue with their life-changing work. Big question, of course, is how is this relevant to the pet sector? Well, you've only got to look into the UK to see how those changes are being used by marketeers to sell more product. A major ethical initiative in the UK in the pet sector has been by Pedigree, which is a leading food manufacturer and part of the Mars Group. They believe that every dog deserves a loving home and the best nutrition. And they've developed, alongside the UK welfare organisations and the ADCH charities an initiative called Feeding Brighter Futures. This looks to supply free of charge food for centres. And in 2013, they've raised over 2 million meals to resource into homes nationwide. They're also providing grants to help those same operators provide improved services for pet welfare. Now, I didn't do too much work in terms of what Turkey looks like, but I did look at the market shares, and whilst Peruna is the market leader, sure enough, market number 2 is dominated by Pedigree. So if I was looking for some free food locally, I'd certainly be picking up the phone to Pedigree to have a conversation. Question on consumer trends, of course, is, well, what happens next? And what we are beginning to see is that human trends are now mirroring and changing into the pet sector. Dynamics such as lifestyle choices, beauty, experiences are being translated into new products and services. This premise is based upon, if you're an owner enjoying life, then why shouldn't you give those good things to your pet? This is about shared enjoyment. Now, I suspect there'll be some quite skeptical people in the audience to think, well, I'd like to take some convincing. Well, let's just take a look at some of the evidence. As we're talking coffee, let's stick with coffee. Anybody from the UK knows that until 1990, we couldn't get a decent cup of coffee for love nor money. However, since then, what we have seen is this is a market now in the UK which is valued at some £6.2 billion. The large operators, Starbucks, Costa, Nero, are all now busy competing to see how they can take additional market share in a fairly saturated market. And what they've come up with is an idea which says, let's provide those same services to you and your dog, and let's get some shared enjoyment about how that works. With a menu and an environment designed for you and your favourite Fido, the last 6 months has seen 2 new openings of test formats designed specifically for dog owners and their dogs. We're also going to see in the next 3 months the first London restaurant open for dogs along with their owners. Cats are proving to be a little bit more difficult. A little less sociable, there is still in development a concept to make the first cat cafe. Let's take a look at another sector, pet services. This includes healthcare, pet accessories, and we're seeing an explosion in activity ranging from pet daycare facilities, high-end spas, salons, through to experience days for dogs. This is mirroring the trend in the human consumer markets. This sector in the UK alone is worth over £500 million in the UK. If we look at grooming, this sector typifies how having your pet look good has now become mainstream. Owners are happy to ensure their dog and cat gets the very best look in the same way as they would treat themselves. If you want to check out one operator's commitment to this activity, look at Pets at Home in the UK. This is the largest pet supply store operator, now operating over 275 high street, 275 out-of-town stores. And they offer a full range of buy-to-use home shampoos, conditioners and brushes to maintain that salon look between bookings. They've also introduced in the majority of their stores a full grooming service for pets. Not slow to recognize on a market opportunity, even in the hotel sector, we've now got marketeers recognizing the advantage of broadening their appeal to pet-centric clients. We now have a number of specialist pet hotels. The services offered include, typically the staff are more likely to know your pet's name than yours when you arrive. They'll offer you a dog bed turn-down service. They'll also include a welcome hamper of treats and toys for your dog. They'll also provide you with a map detailing local walks and routes and hotspots where you can meet other similar dogs. And just to finish off the day, they'll also operate a pet-only bar for the wind down at the end of the evening, where you can relax in comfort with your pet. And of course, they do operate a happy hour. And on a final note of sectors, let's just take a look at the biggest sector of them all, pet medicines and foods. And what we're clearly seeing is that pet medicines and foods is worth about £2.7 billion in the UK alone. The internet, smart computers and technology is now changing the way in which those products are coming to consumers, changing the way in which we buy, use them, and supply. Online retailers are very quickly capturing substantial shares of these new sectors that historically have only come via vets and specialist suppliers or supermarkets. Online sales across veterinary products last year increased by almost 40%. Now, few, if any, of those internet operators have the credibility or brand values or reputation of most of the major welfare organizations. And we might see in the future the sector acting in unison to work with large manufacturers to take goods and services to market using the relative strengths of each organization. Or, if we really do believe that times are changing, we may even see a fair trade food product, not to benefit the manufacturer, but to benefit other dogs in less fortunate circumstances. So I hope in the last 20 minutes with a whistle-stop tour that we've seen and shown that most certainly the times are changing, and sure enough, they always will. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.